So welcome back to another episode, and this is my top 10 look back on 2016, some highlight moments of the show, some moments that stood out for me personally. So any moments that you guys thought stood out in 2016 for the show, please mention them below if I do not mention them in this list. It's amazing, every single year of the show I'm like, how am I going to outdo the show from last year? And it's so strange that the year fills up and so many strange events happen that you just didn't think you were going to do or didn't think you were going to film, people you were going to meet. It's strange what can happen in the span of the year. So at number 10 is my Dragon Quest live action opening to my Dragon Quest 7 review. And this was a lot of work for like 30 seconds. It was a lot of work. I think it took us about 6 hours to shoot this. We went up to Burnaby Mountain, a mountain just by us, got to the top of it. Tons of tourists all day, and we just had to keep waiting for moments when there was nobody in the shots to pull off some of this stuff. And I always wanted to do a parody of Star Wars Episode 7, The End, and I thought, wouldn't it be funny if I, go up this mountain and I meet Luke, which isn't Luke, it's Kim, and I give her the lightsaber, and I'm like, no, this isn't any good, and I throw it down the lightsaber, and I give her what we all wanted, which was Dragon Quest 7. And it was so cool to be able to film it, and I think it turned out really well. At number 9 is the Layers of Fear reaction. Now, me and Kim were playing Layers of Fear, and I was making all these jokes like, oh yeah, to be a real Let's Player, you have to scream and freak out and all this. And we're kind of laughing about it. I'm laughing about it because video games really, I don't know, they don't really scare me. VR games scare me a lot, but just playing a regular video game usually doesn't scare me too much. Where in Layers of Fear, it's just a game where you're going through a mansion and strange things happen and all that kind of stuff. So we're going around and all of a sudden this event happened and Kim freaked out and she freaked out so much that it scared me. And so I will just play the clip right here. The pre-cum of the rat about to hit us.
Okay, go stand in front of the fireplace.
Feeling a little cold?
The room probably changed.
Oh, get out.
Don't do that! You jumped at me!
Don't
you
do
jumped
it.
at me!
Don't do it.
What the fuck?
What was that thing?
It was just it looked like all the furniture was all together and it came at us.
Was that what it was?
Maybe.
It was what scared me. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Is that like a robot? That was great. I was not expecting that. That was great. I'm happy. I can't wait to watch this again to see what a reaction really was.
I could see my face like this.
Oh, get out.
Don't do that! You jumped at me!
Don't
you
do
jumped
it.
at me!
Now, number 8 is something that didn't happen on the show itself. It happened behind the scenes. And it's an incredible story, and it's a very sad story for me, because I'm an idiot. I have a business email for the Happy Console Gamer, and I don't really check it too often. And I've since this event has happened, I check it all the time now. But I hadn't checked it for like a long time. I thought, oh, I should have a look what's going on in there. And I got sent an official email. It is an official email, I know that for a fact, from Square Enix. And they wanted me to come down to the San Diego Comic Convention to do a panel with them. This is serious. Trust me, I'm still in shock by it. And talk about Dragon Quest. They were having like a Dragon Quest Builders event down there, and they wanted somebody who was a real Dragon Quest fan, which is kind of like me. I love Dragon Quest. So I think they saw my 30th anniversary Dragon Quest video, and they thought, this guy knows a lot about Dragon Quest. So let's bring him down, and he can be part of the fun and all that. So that would have been amazing. But guess what? I missed the email by 2 weeks. They'd already canceled the event when they couldn't get in touch with me. I mean, I really fucked up on that one. I really did. And they're like, yeah, we'll probably do something else in the future. And it's like, yeah, I don't think that'll ever happen again. I never miss that email now. Now, number 7 is my Game Snack episode I did for April Fools. And in a way, it was making fun and joking on the idea of gaming food. And there's such a thing as gaming food for when you're playing video games and stuff like that. So I had this whole thing that Kim wants to have, a gaming snack. And I'm like, oh, don't worry, I'll take care of this. And I go into the kitchen and I don't just make nachos or bring back some chips or something. I make this like Yorkshire pudding meal, like something totally out of Britain. And I bring it back and after all this work, and she's like, You know, I'm really not into that. Look at this. Roast beef, Yorkshire pudding, carrots, mashed potatoes, gravy.
Not really in the mood for Yorkshire puddings and roast beef. Can we have something else?
Come again? Now, at number 6, it's amazing in life when certain events happen to us that change our lives. You don't know that going in, and I didn't know it going over to my friend Kyle's place and trying the HTC Vive, my very first VR experience, and I was just blown away with the experience. I had no idea how incredible it was and how addicted to VR I would become and how amazing I would find it. I thought it'd be like a novelty thing. I didn't think it'd be that good. And when I did it, I'm like, oh my God, this is like life-changing. It really is. So that was a really big moment. I almost have to close my eyes right now because it's too much.
Yeah, it does get to be too much to close your eyes, for sure.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh no. Oh God. Oh Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Oh no. This is like intense, dude. What the fuck?
He's only on the menu screen.
I'm only in the fucking... I know, it's so weird. Holy shit, what am I doing? What am I picking?
So you can do the whale one. There's a scary one with the...
No!
Okay.
No scary ones. Number 5 is very near and dear to me. I had my friend Andrew up for one weekend, and we played a lot of video games, and we just talked a lot about video games, but we were able to do a few episodes together, and that's always golden, because Andrew lives in California, I live up here in Vancouver, Canada, so it's very rare we can be in the same place together. We grew up, we were very old friends. And it was wonderful to sit and do a Final Fantasy talk with Andrew. And Andrew's a huge Final Fantasy fan, and so am I. And we grew up playing the games together on our street. So we were able to sit down and talk about all of our memories from, playing Final Fantasy 1 all the way up to playing Final Fantasy, 13. And it was so cool to reminisce and go through all the games again with him, and it was a real pleasure, and I really enjoyed that moment this year. At number 4, I went down to Arizona for a convention hosted by Gamester 81. Really great convention, had a really good time. And I was talking to some people when I was down there, Chris Tang and Kiyoshi, and they were super great people, and I didn't know when I was talking to them that they were guests as well, and Chris Tang was a guest, and he was the Sega World Champion. I had no idea. We all went out for dinner, and I just found out like 5 minutes before that he was the Sega World Champion, and my mind was blown. And I'm sitting there with him, Kiyoshi, and the Nintendo World Champion eating Mexican food. It was an incredible night, a night I will never forget. And then I got to interview Chris Tang, talking about his time being, winning the Sega World Championship. And it was just wonderful, and we've become really, really good friends since, and I'm advertising his game right here, an indie game he's working on, and I'm a really big supporter, and it's amazing in a year the amount of people that you meet, and you never know who you're going to meet. You never know who you can become super good friends with, and I've been really lucky this year. Number 3 was a very, very serious episode for me. It really was. I did something, and I thought, I'm going to do this because it was 8 years for me quitting smoking, and I thought, I'm going to tell my story about quitting smoking because it's had such a big impact on my life, quitting smoking. It's changed everything. I can't explain how it just changed my entire life. I met the girl of my dreams and got married and had an incredible life because of that. And that's all because I quit smoking. I got out of the fog of smoking. And I'm not knocking smoking for anybody who smokes out there. Please enjoy it. I understand what it's like, but for me, it really... my life opened up and got a lot better when I quit smoking, and I was able to tell this story. And the one thing, and I'm not bringing out a tear for this one, but since I've done that episode, the amount of people I've talked to that have quit smoking because of the episode, and I've met people at conventions, and I can't tell you about some moments I've had meeting some people that said how inspirational that video was to them. And I was at a convention where a guy shook my hand so tightly and looked at me so directly in the eyes, thanking me. And and I said to him, because he was just trying to quit smoking, I said, you can do it. And I really meant it, and I get kind of shivers thinking about it. And I've talked to a lot of people who that episode has had an effect on, because cigarettes, once you get addicted to it, it's very hard to quit. They say it's as hard as heroin. And so when you get through it, it's an incredible feeling. But that was one that I just, that episode flowed. I did it all in one take. It's like 20 minutes long. I can't really remember, but it all in one take. And it was like one of those one-take wonders where your heart was behind it, and I'm so happy I got to do that. At number 2, I've had a few cool guests come onto this show, or at least stand in this games room, and this year was no exception. I was lucky enough to have Victor Lucas come over here, hang out in the games room, talk about video games, and then I was able to go into his show, and it's been a wonderful thing. Victor Lucas is a guy I've been watching for over 20 years on Canadian television. Wonderful to meet him in person, and what an incredible human being. It's sometimes you meet certain people that you've looked up to over the years, and it lets you down when you meet them. You go, oh God, this person's not really cool in reality. But Victor Lucas, when I met him and talked to him and became friends with him, he elevated to a level that was beyond somebody that I just looked up to. He's an incredible person with an incredible outlook on life, and so positive. And for me, there's not many people that I can look to as a role model, but I would say that Victor Lucas is definitely a role model to me for looking for the positive in life and trying to do the best you can in life and help other people. And he's definitely an inspiration, and what a joy to have him on the show this year. Now at number 1, this episode is, it's an episode that really in the spectrum of things didn't do that well. But it doesn't matter. I don't do my episodes to, get certain numbers, to get certain views. I do all of my episodes because I want to do them personally, and they mean something to me. And I put this episode out, and I think a lot of people missed it, and that's okay, but it meant a lot to me. And it's the silliest thing, isn't it? But if you watch the episode, I think you'll see the meaning behind it. I talk about my high school art teacher, Mr. Shimizu, and it became legendary in the episode where I talked about how he used to look at all my anime art and Warhammer art and just all my art in general. If it had a little bit of a dark theme to it, he'd always say this, exactly like this too. He'd always say, "Too satanic, John, too satanic." He always said that, and that was his thing to do. And he'd also say, "Sit down, class, sit down." He was a short little Japanese guy who wore black leather pants, and he sat on this really funny cushion every day, and it's just so ridiculous. And he's long passed away now, but it was so crazy looking at my old art books and finding pictures of him that I had drawn back then, as he sat in a shared model for us. And I thought, this is the only way. I don't have any photographs of him anymore. I have him in the high school annual, but I don't have anything else to remember him by. So my drawings are the only way that I remember my art school teacher. It was psychologically really intense for me. It was really insane. And what a character he was, and I was so happy to share that. And then after that, every single video, no matter what it would be, all I would ever see in the bottom in the comments was, "Too satanic, John, too satanic," and it really cracked me up. I always thought that it was really, really funny. So, guys, those are just some of my top 10 moments of the show this year. Please share some other moments you enjoyed on the show, and I'm sure in 2017 we'll have a few more interesting moments. So, anyways, guys, until next time.